Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our first lot of photos. We certainly had a bit of fun putting them together and looking back on them. So pretty much those photos were the first couple of days of our trip. We walked over the Pyrenees and down a couple of days into Pamplona. The first 3 or 4 days were really crowded, and we found out that we'd actually started walking the day before a Spanish public holiday, the 1st of May, which meant that a lot of Spanish people had a 4-day weekend, and often people will walk the Camino in little bits. So many people busted into Roncesvalles, which was our first stop. Consequently, when we arrived with the walking pilgrims at 4 p.m, the new monastery, which we really wanted to stay in, was full. So they opened up the old monastery, which you'll see in the movie The Way, and that was fine.
It ended up working out better, I think, because we got a lovely experience of sleeping with probably over 100 people, but the next morning being woken up by a guy playing a guitar and singing. That was our alarm clock for the morning, which was a surprise, but in a really good way. It was just, started our whole experience off in a very special way.
Yeah, and we're still learning the ropes for the first 3 or 4 days, so we were pretty much the last people out of the monastery. I think we started walking, according to Lynn's diary, at 8 a.m, and most other days when we got going we'd start at 7 a.m. But it was still interesting. So consequently, that second night we got into a town called Zubiri, and just about everything in the town accommodation had been taken, and people were getting into taxis to go ahead to find accommodation. So I had to tell you up front, there was a bit of a rule that we weren't going to use any transport other than feet. So
the option of getting a taxi was just not going to happen.
Yeah, we would have slept on the floor if we had to, but luckily there was a little country hotel and we got the last room.
Yes, you're quick thinking.
Yeah, so we ducked in there and got the last room, so we were able to stay on track. Next day into Pamplona. We had 2 days in Pamplona. Our reasoning was there were a couple of really nice towns we were going to be walking through: Pamplona, Burgos, Leon, and we thought, gosh, we're travelling halfway around the world, why would we come all this way and not enjoy them? The downside was you couldn't sleep in albergues if you stayed more than one night. So in those towns we had to have alternate accommodation. We loved Pamplona.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We visited a few churches and a museum, but on Michael's wish list was to find the Cafe Iruna, where Hemingway had sat and written some of his...
Yeah, and features in his books, and to me that was just one of the... I wanted to have a glass of wine sitting in the cafe looking out in the square, which we did.
It was beautiful. Yeah. The sun had come out by that stage. It was quite warm that afternoon, and being a weekend, there were a lot of Spanish families out in the square, so we were able to witness the Spanish lifestyle, which is a very family orientated way of life by the looks of it. And we saw a wedding as well, so it was just very entertaining, just sitting in the sun with a glass of wine, just watching the Spanish life go by.
Yeah, I really love Pamplona and like to go back sometime. We left Pamplona at 7 o'clock on the Sunday morning, and the streets were filled with lots and lots of teenagers, young people, and we thought, gosh, they're getting up early. No, it's traditional that they stay up all night, and the 7 a.m. crowd were getting home from their Saturday night out, so that was really funny. The next stage, we walked up another fairly steep climb to one of the places we wanted to see, Alto de Verdon. And if you look at in the movie The Way, there's the steel statues where they filmed there, so we were looking forward to that.
That was one of the things we had to tick off.
Yeah, and if our photo looks like we're being blown away, it was really windy. So windy you couldn't hear anything in the videos.
I actually got blown over climbing up to that point, and Michael had to help me up because with my backpack, I was stuck. I couldn't get back up.
Yeah, she got blown into a bush.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. But we met some lovely people on that walk out of Pamplona. So just a few of them that we still keep in touch with. So Michael Pitt.
Yeah, he was really, really great fun. And he was good value because he had done the Camino 4 times before. He was only walking a portion of it this time round. But he gave us a lot of useful information and tips on what we had in front of us.
Yeah.
And he was just good fun.
Yeah, very much so. Brad and Linda from Seattle, who we met on that on the day out of Pamplona, stayed in the albergue with them that night, and as you do, we ended up hanging out, washing out, sitting in the sun next to them, and started up a conversation. And we really liked them.
Yeah. Had a lot in common with them, and just seemed to connect straight off. We didn't have tea with them that night. It was their anniversary, so they'd gone off into town. But were so pleased when after tea they came back and joined us at the table where we were still sitting, and still weren't sure that we would connect with them totally till the next morning. They joined us for breakfast, and from then on they must have had the same feeling of connection that we had, and for about 10 days we spent really great days with their company, and we are now really good friends with them and are going to catch up with them again. Yeah,
and it's really strange. You think, gosh, you only knew them for 10 or 12 days, but when you're pretty much all you have to do is walk. You see people in the morning, 7 o'clock, you walk with them all day, you have tea with them. You
sometimes sleep in the same room as them.
Yeah, have drinks afterwards. I probably spent more time with a lot of those people on the Camino in 10 days, 2 weeks than I would with most of my family in a lifetime. So you can understand how you get to meet people.
And you've got a common goal. You have common aches, pains. You seem to tell the people things very quickly that in normal circumstances you wouldn't, and the connection just seems to really bond together very quickly. Yeah.
So the day after we met all these people, we ended up, most of us, staying in the same albergue in Estella, and it was one of the places where they allowed Julia to stay. Her dog could sleep in the yard. So the idea that night was we pooled our money and bought ingredients at the local store and made pasta.
Julia being the Italian,
she made pasta.
She made pasta for us all.
Humongous amount, because a kilo of it had to go to Argo, the dog, for the next day. And we found Michael Pitt in the town and dragged him back, and a few bottles of wine, and it was a really lovely night, and that's kind of what we look forward to at the end of every day. So on we went, and you'll see that in the photos. We went through a fairly large town called Logrono. Michael Pitt loved Logrono and had been there before, and he decided that he would take us and Brad and Linda and give us a tapas tour of Logrono by night. And Michael's idea of tapas is small food, big alcohol.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely night. It really was. We headed now towards Burgos. We were having another 2-day stopover in Burgos. Some of the other people we met weren't. So they kept walking. We kept in touch with them and caught up with them again in Santiago.
Another couple we met was Bill and Lisa.
Oh, Bill and Lisa, yes.
Yeah, they were really good too. We connected with them a little. They had been in the albergue where we met Brad and Linda, but didn't really sort of connect with them for a few days. But really lovely couple. They're from the UK, living in Spain, and great fun. Really good people.
Yeah, and the whole group just kind of hit it off.
That was our group.
So a couple of things we might mention before we look at the next lot of photos. I had, for a few days, I wore a pedometer just to get an idea of the steps, and we were walking about 45,000 steps a day, which meant if you developed any sort of problem with your foot, a blister like Lynn did, it was hard going, and the roads were hard, weren't they?
Yeah, because they were so rough. So you really had to, when your feet are so sensitive, I was really having to watch where I put my foot, because any unevenness, it just was excruciating. So yes, a lot of the time my head was down, looking to where I was going to put my foot for the next step. So that was not very good.
Okay, so back to some more photos as we continue our journey along the Camino.